Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Geek'd Out. Very happy to be here. We made it another week. We haven't. No one's been canceled. I haven't been canceled. The show hasn't been canceled. We're still going strong. Very good. Very happy to be here. All right, we're going to be doing an episode about Captain America: Civil War. I think this is easily one of my favorite films in the whole MCU, and oddly enough, a lot of people agree with me. Shit's wild. We have a couple guests for the show. Our first guest, very good friend of mine. I get along with him pretty well. He's hilarious. I think you guys will like him a lot. Let's go ahead and move to that screen. Move to that guy. Trumaine Bradley, how's it going, sir? Good to see you.
What is up? What is up?
Oh man. I'm really happy to have you on the show. How many episodes have you been on now, Trumaine?
I think like 3 or 4. I'm trying to make it to the 6 club because it's like SNL. I want to start a 6 club.
Yeah, that would be great.
Josh is moving up too. There's a few other people. I think it's a good it's a good group of people to be in.
It'd be great because we do give jackets when you make it to 6. We give jackets, smoking jackets, and and then also you get a coupon, a weekly coupon to IKEA, so you can get their meatballs.
I'm glad you caught that reference. I'm glad you caught that reference because in like a minute we went from half a black person to like no black people. And
it didn't take long. It did not take long at all.
That's great. Thank you for having me, though, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next guest, also super funny guy. Love him to death. Really happy to have him on the show. Let's give a big hand for LeRoyal Tutt. How's it going, man?
Right.
That caught me.
I love this. I love the screen that you have. This background. This is wonderful.
No, thank you. I figured it would set the tone and it'll fit what we're about to go after right now.
Yeah, it's important to set the tone, I love that, you're in between the two. They're having this big civil war, and you're just like, hey, come on, guys, why don't we just, come on.
If you look at the picture, it's about me. Like, they're trying to decide which one most. I'm just doing them all. So, well, I like cookies, so.
Yeah. That sounds fair. I watched it again last night, and I did realize that did seem to be the major conflict in the movie was LeRoyal. That's what was missing. All right. Our next guest is all the way from Portland, Oregon. He's born and raised. Okay, he was there before Portlandia and before all of that white feminism. Okay, give it up for Josh Larson.
Hey. You know how frustrating it is to have a Portlandia tattoo. And I say that, and y'all think it's something to do with the show, and it's not. It's a Portlandia statue, 3rd largest bronze statue in the world, very similar to the Statue of Liberty that got sent into Portland. I have that tattooed on my arm. But every asshole thinks I have, Carrie Brownstein tattooed on my arm. It's super frustrating explaining that my chickens don't have names.
That is so funny. I imagine just a lot of people oh man, one time they just go up to you and one time I met Fred Armisen and he just seemed like a really down to earth guy, honestly, he didn't even make it a big deal that he was like a celebrity. He was just like everyone else. It was so random. It was weird. You've met him too, right? Living in Portland and everything, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've met him. You met him though. You met him.
I hate that I'm such a hipster. Yeah, I've absolutely met both of them on separate occasions and had very weird interactions with them, unfortunately.
I'm sure. They seem like nice people, but they also seem like very weird people. But to have the idea for that show, you have to be kind of a weirdo.
And that's the thing, not even weird, just it's the Portland thing of being very into your own group. They're very, the one time I met Carrie Brownstein, I actually had to kick her out of a venue that I worked at. Only what? I was the dummy who didn't know who she was, so I yelled at her like she was a regular person until my bartender grabbed me and yanked me away. It's like, you're not, just shut up and go stand in the corner, security. I had no idea who she was till afterwards.
Oh my God.
They
That's
kept
crazy.
me on.
Yeah.
They let me work a few more days, but.
Oh yeah, well I'm glad they didn't fire you right then and there. That would have been bad, man. That'd be something. Not recognizing Carrie Brownstein. I've known about that show for so many years at this point. That I don't know.
I hate to say it's a Portland thing. It's that Portland look. She had that Portland look. There's a lot of people that look like that. There are.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, every woman in Portland, Oregon looks like Carrie Brownstein. That's a prototype. They just a lot of white feminism. It's great. All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and get on to the first subtopic of the show today. The very first one is let's go ahead and show that. All right. Why does no one put respect on Hawkeye's name? This one is. I gotta tell you guys, this has been something it's been on my mind. It's been on my mind for some time now. Clint is in a lot of these movies. He's done a lot of these movies, and he's done a lot of other awesome shit. He's been here. I remember him in SWAT. That's how old I am. I remember him in SWAT. He was great in SWAT.
Yeah, fantastic.
Why don't they? Yeah. I love that everyone is like, oh yeah, he was in SWAT.
Fantastic. He was. He's the villain. He was.
When this episode airs, everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, he sure was in SWAT.
Yeah.
Remember SWAT? Babe. Remember SWAT? That was a good movie.
With LL Cool J?
Watch it.
Yeah, with LL Cool J. The one with LL Cool J in it. Babe. Remember? Babe, can you give me some juice? Babe.
That's so funny. That's so true. He was, though.
He's been out here, man. He's been out here for longer than people know. And he's a tremendous actor. And Hawkeye is one of the original members of the Avengers. And he just shoots arrows and he doesn't have any power. But Romanoff doesn't have any powers. And everyone puts respect on her name. No one everyone considers her an integral part of the team. I don't understand why they don't have that same energy when it comes to Hawkeye. I just don't get it. Hawkeye in MASH gets more respect. All right? It's not okay.
Does Black Widow get that much more respect? It took Black Widow dying for us to start demanding her own movie. It took the times changing for us to start demanding. Before, she was a side character in all these movies.
That's kind of true.
Hawkeye's fantastic for TV. I loved watching the Arrow jump around and shoot arrows all over the place, and I'd love to watch Hawkeye do that on Netflix. But I am here for a movie. I want somebody with powers or $1 million building their suit because it's a movie.
Yeah.
You need to watch
I'll tell you what
Tom
happened.
Cruise and Jack Reacher.
When they Black Widow and Iron Man, she was in the thick of it. She had screen time. She had the action. She had the moves. She had a whole mission infiltrating that building, and it gave her the ability to be seen like that. When you see Hawkeye for the first time, he's in the crow's nest shooting at Thor. That was it.
Yes.
They didn't give the man enough time to be developed as someone who could stand on his own, because they only gave him that 1 or 2 scenes within Thor. That's what he was missing.
Yeah.
No. LeRoyal is actually bringing up a great point, and that's how you know how dope of not only a person but an actor he is, because he went on the record and said this. He was like, they have completely fumbled on my character twice. They fumbled in Thor. Well, all they did was just show him shoot the arrow. And then when they finally thought we were going to get a real introduction to Hawkeye, what happens? Yeah, he's in the whole Avengers movie, but he's basically an evil version of himself. He's playing Tommy from the Green Ranger. You know, he's from the Power Rangers.
Oh,
he's not really him, and it's fucked up because we don't get to. That was like good, but it's fucked up because we don't get to introduce ourselves to the real Hawkeye. And then what they do, they went back and it was like, yo, we fucked up. They gave him way more stuff to do in Avengers 2. And then to be honest, he had one of the best stories in Civil War and in the last 2 Avengers movies. Cause that whole him losing his family. So they did finally put respect on his name. But like Carter said, he had to go and grab his own respect. And normally if you fight against Disney, cause technically Marvel is Disney, you normally lose everything. You end up like my man Orlando Brown. With nothing, you know what I mean? You don't go against Disney and think that you're just gonna be okay. It don't work like that. But my man Hawkeye, he said, "I need respect, bruh. Y'all gonna put some spec with a K on my name." And sure enough, they was like, "Yo, he right." The fans was like, "Yeah, they need some respect on his name. His name doesn't have any respect on it." So yeah, but he got it. But not for a while.
They didn't put respect on Hawkeye. They put respect on Ronin, which was the character that, you know, from the comic books that comes into the movie that movie fans don't get to see. They put respect on Ronin. They did not put respect on Hawkeye as himself. His storyline was, it is what it is. We learn he's this great dad and he's all that. But it wasn't until they broke him completely that we gave a damn about him. They were in his barn crushing his wood and we didn't give a shit in Ultron. It wasn't until we watched him go away and him lose it that we were like, yo, I need to know more about this guy. So it was Ronin that did
you're
that.
right, though. You're right. But again, like we were saying, is it only came after he talked shit about the fact that he never got his shot. They could have easily pulled a Terrence Howard on his ass and be like, oh, okay, Hawkeye. Oh, we got you the next movie. Hey, baby, we got you the next movie, and they'll get someone who darker skin. They'll fuck around and get Josh, or they'll fuck around and get who's the guy that played Luis. They'll get some Hispanic dude. They'll put him as goddamn Hawkeye. That's how much for fuck Disney don't give, but he deserved respect. And so they brought in Ronin, and that's why I truly believe, and they fucked up with this, but they could have given us we could have figured out what happened when he met up with Romanoff in where did they go to again?
Yeah, whatever the one they keep referencing through all the movies. Right.
Bangladesh, I think, or what was it? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Budapest.
Yeah, Budapest. Yes. They could have given us a Budapest movie. I would have been fine with that. I want to know what happened in goddamn Budapest.
That's what it should be.
That is true. They do reference that a lot. Yeah.
Is it too late? Is it too late?
No, it's not.
They can do it. They can do it. If they can do a Romanoff movie now, then they can do that. It'd be fine. It would totally be fine. It really wouldn't be an issue. Obviously, it's very clear that they did eventually put respect on Hawkeye's name later, but at the time of Civil War 4 years ago, they hadn't, and that's kind of.
They did put respect on his name for Civil War.
At all. Still, like literally, go ahead.
A little bit in the aspect of they put respect on Clinton Barton and what Clinton Barton can do in that aspect. He was brought in because Scarlet Witch really respected him. Scarlet Witch knew that she could listen to him and trust what he was telling him. It wasn't Hawkeye that did that. It was Clint that did that part.
Josh is right.
If you're telling me that Hawkeye makes this impact, you know what Hawkeye did in Civil War? He shot an arrow and it distracted War Machine for a minute. And he went, and then he kept doing what he was doing. You're going to tell me that compares to Vision, who paralyzed Rhodey during a little scene?
He did, though.
But you're telling me I'm supposed to give respect to Hawkeye, who shot an arrow that distracted this same guy for a second? I'm not going to put respect on that. I'm going to put respect on Clinton Barton, the human aspect and the bit that he brings to the team. But what did Hawkeye bring?
No, he's right. And there's a lot of technicalities about it, but he's right. There are different characters. There is Clinton Barton, there is Hawkeye, and then there is Ronin. Hawkeye did no respect. But see, I think they did. They started to because he technically pushes forward Avengers 2. Because he was, I mean, what's it called? Scarlet Witch had to go to him. That's why they, you know what I mean? Like he was the father figure of that movie, and he was the person that pushed forward Civil War as well. Because what's it called? So like he does so. But it's not really as Hawkeye. It is that character because they're setting us up for when they bring in Ronan, because they about to completely destroy this man's life. And then they about to bring in the most badass character. This motherfucker, it's Disney. They didn't even let us know how many people he killed. But he killed enough that even Scarlet Witch was not Scarlet Witch, that even Black Widow was like, all right, I'm gonna go talk to him.
That's a good point. They really did break him down from Hawkeye in the beginning and Thor and sitting up on the perch to getting to see Clint Barton come in, right, carrying Scarlet Witch through this to then seeing Ronan. Wow, that's quite a character. Okay, I'll give him more respect. You got me on that one.
Like the way that you guys are separating it now, it really opens my eyes to the separation of Hawkeye, Clint, and Ronan. So the respect wasn't on Hawkeye, but it was definitely on Clint and his purpose.
Right. I didn't think about that until Josh was bringing up the fact that he was like, "Oh, that's not respect on Hawkeye. That's Clint respect." Now, and I was like, "That's a good point." But again, this comes back down to, and this only happened twice. Well, 3 times. But it's showing the changes. That's how we should have known 2020 was on the way. Because when the MCU first started and people spoke out, you ended up on TV. You ended up having a career to being on Empire. That's what happened to you when you spoke out against Disney. Whereas now, Clint, remember what's his name? He stood up and was like, "Bro, this makes no sense that I've been in these movies this long," because it was a long time from Thor all the way to Avengers. That was supposed to be his time to shine. All they did was have him on some Invasion of Body Snatchers type shit. He was just totally out of it. And it's fucked up. We got no story. We got Hawkeye, but it was a bitch made Hawkeye. Because Loki was a bitch. So that's what I'm saying. So like it was awful. But when he said that, they could have pulled a Terrence Howard, but instead it was like, all right, we're gonna go back to the drawing board. And they essentially use his character arc to push all the phases all the way through to phase 4 with just his character arc alone. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. It really could have been an unbiv situation. I'm glad it wasn't.
You're right.
Yeah, you look at the different aspects that he goes through even past Civil War, but Civil War is him coming out of retirement, him leaving the family life that he said he wouldn't leave to come take care of some shit that he felt needed to be taken care of. And then you watch in Endgame, and I guess not really Endgame, but Infinity War, when he loses everything, and he's the one who's willing to go back in time to make these sacrifices. Right. And he battles with Scarlett Johansson to make that sacrifice for the greater good. I came into this thinking I was going to be the guy being like, nah, no respect for Hawkeye. And I'm starting to give Hawkeye a little bit of respect.
This is one of those arguments where, like, unlike most arguments on the internet, the person on the other side is like, you know what, you actually bring up a good point.
That's right. That is true.
Never happened on the internet before. We're pioneers right now.
See, that's how you know that we're literally living in the beginning of the apocalypse, because it's like everybody on the internet is like, you know, it's a good point. It's a good point. It's not bad.
I know you're doing that.
You be like, that boy good. That boy good.
That boy good.
LeRoy be killing me looking like it's like he's done this before. He be looking like directly at the characters. I'm like, how? The outline is perfect. I'm like, how does he know? He's like, no, Cap is over here. This is where Tony is. You know what I mean? That's funny.
Okay. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next subtopic. The second subject is Dads Ain't Shit Part 2. Parents Ain't Shit Part 2. All right. In this one, in a lot of Marvel movies, we discussed this when we were doing the Black Panther episode some weeks ago. And we got into how T'Challa's dad ain't shit. But he just he fucked up in a lot of ways. Like kind of almost destroyed the country. no big deal. And then, Thor's dad ain't shit. He kind of is. But once again, he kind of kept a lot of secrets that almost destroyed Asgard. No big deal. These are mistakes that parents make, okay? They're humans just like us, okay? They don't know what they're doing. They're just adults that don't know shit. That's all it is, In this one, Tony is still dealing with a lot of stuff, and it's kind of all coming at him like right now. He's learning more about like his father's mistakes. He's at this point, he knows about how his father is like an integral part of like the Avengers. He found them, and I think a big part of what makes Civil War is the fact that in the back of Tony's head, and pretty much in the front and the middle too, he kind of knows that Howard loved Steve Rogers way more than he is even capable of loving Tony. In so many ways, in a way that they were around in a very different time together and fought in a very important war, and it's just something that he didn't really, if he had gotten to see his son grow up, that maybe would have changed, but that wasn't the case, obviously, because of Hydra and a bunch of shit. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let's go ahead and get off of me.
I look at that as like a Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan kind of comparison. My dad growing up, he got to watch Wilt Chamberlain play basketball, and so he'd see one aspect of it. I growing up, I got to watch Michael Jordan, and my kid growing up, they're gonna get to watch Carmelo, or not Carmelo, but LeBron or one of those guys, and they're gonna have their aspect. There is that bit of what you see is going to be your great no matter what comes before. I think for Howard Stark, that was one of those things for him. He got to see in his mind greatness. And it was never going to be broken. No matter what Howard got to see, if Howard got to see Tony at his best, if Howard got to see him sacrifice himself for the world, I love you 3000, that Tony, if Howard would have got to see that, I still don't know if that would have been bigger than Steve Rogers, because that was his time, that was his thing, and that was the supreme of all being.
I don't know.
But even to follow up a little bit before, because I don't want to lose this, because I think he actually brings up a great point. Is Howard literally created greatness twice, but this is the thing. He got to take a person that he chose and turn that person into a legit superhero, a perfect human being. You see what I'm saying? Whereas Tony the chance. And we learned later that yes, like his dad loved him, but there was no way, it's like Josh said, there was no way that he can love Tony the same way that he loved Steve, because he literally handpicked Steve. It's like being able to say, hey, I want you to be my best creation, and it happens. Whereas rather than somebody just walking through the door and it ends up being something great that you end up doing. That's why it was so hard for him, because Steve was still a part of his work, whereas Tony wasn't. Tony was legit family. Steve was just, hey, I am a god at my job. You see what I'm saying? And I think Tony kind of knew that. That's why Tony would do godlike things. He created the orb. He created the things that can turn him into a super human, so that he could possibly be something that his dad would have loved halfway. That's why he made the call. He made that sacrifice, that call that his dad's favorite person told him he wouldn't be able to do. And that's how he knew in that very moment that he was greater than Steve Rogers. And that's why it's a dope ass story, a character arc, but it's because of what Josh said is true. He created two of them, and Tony was never going to be bigger than that until that moment, until he killed himself.
That's very true. I agree with that very much, Trumaine and Josh. But it's also really very hard to hear, because basically in that whole spiel there, you basically said that parents don't choose you, they have you, and then they raise you, maybe. When it comes to friends or work associates or something like that, or their wife, or their husband or whatever, that's people they picked, they hand-picked. I pick you to be in my life. for better or worse. Most days it's probably going to be worse, but I picked you, motherfucker.
Right.
Like this kid, this little person that kind of looks like me, I guess. He also kind of looks like the neighbor. I had never said anything about that, but I guess I love it with all of my heart. But I'm not choosing.
Carter, that hits on so much more deeper levels. It's like, with him being young, with Howard Stark being young and being within Steve and all the things that he experienced, and then you have your kid and you're just like, you want your kid to live up to the same expectations because that guy was so great, and all you see is the failures in your own son, and that's what kind of builds that hate within Tony from such a young age. He says it in the movie. He says like, I hate your guts, or I hated you this whole time. Like, my dad would talk about you and just you, and having to hear that. And I never really ever like put two and two together with growing up under your father, who spent so much time with a legit superhero, and your dad wants nothing but you to be great, but everything that you do to achieve that it just keeps falling short, or it just doesn't meet up to the standards that he knows. So when you put that out there, it was just like, dang, that hurts, because he didn't choose his son. This guy already had the great qualities. He says, I choose you, and your blood, and you could never be, God.
I'm sorry, LeRoyal. So LeRoyal has 2 children. I should have mentioned that before. I'm sorry, man. We're not talking about you. You're an awesome dad, okay? Okay. Yeah. Father's Day should only be about LeRoyal, okay?
Black do not crack. LeRoyal still look like he has hopes and dreams. That is so crazy. That's what I'm saying. Black do not crack at all. I thought that he was like, you know what? I'm gonna move back home with my mom for a little bit. I'm gonna chase this rap dream. But little did I notice, he's like doing great things as a father, because you don't know with Black people. That's good for you, LeRoyal.
Yeah, that's know as far as being dads and knowing what that's like to look at your kid and go, I conditionally, I have to love you.
Yeah.
I look at that as the same way as that's the way my kid's gonna look at Damian Lillard, right? Like, I have a 5-year-old daughter, but I get to watch Damian Lillard right now in the playoffs, and I'm hoping that he's gonna drain threes and take out the Lakers. But if my daughter can't hit a jump shot the way Damian Lillard can, I'm gonna look down just a little bit because I'm seeing this man give his heart and soul out in that bubble right now in Orlando. And my daughter, we're out here in the front yard, and you're telling me she can't go 3 for 5? Come on.
That's Jesus.
Hey, it's funny, Josh, that you bring this up, and it's crazy that I never really thought about this movie in this way. But if you really think about it, that's why everything that Tony created with Iron Man was things that Captain America couldn't be. Captain America just had the shield of vibranium, whereas
what did Tony want to make? He wanted to put a shield around the world.
Around the world. That's what I'm saying. So he wanted to take his dad. He wanted to be like, yo, not only am I better than you, Tony, I'm better than you, I'm Cap, but I'm better than my father too, because he created one super soldier. I'm about to create super soldiers that will never get tired, that will never die. And I'm going to take your shield. I'm going to put a shield around myself. He put a shield around himself. He can fly, whereas Captain America can't fly. And he gets stronger with as he gets charged. That's why he tells him, he was like, yo, I'm smart and I'm a billionaire and I have this great suit. Everything that's great from you came out of a bottle. And so he knows deep down that like these are things that are exterior, whereas to his dad created that inside of him.
You look at Cap was used as a shield for other things to come.
Right.
That's true. Iron Man used him as a shield during Civil War to distract, because Iron Man knew, right? He had seen visions of greater things to come, but he needed something to buffer for a little bit, allow him to develop, allow him to grow. And he used Cap because Cap's weapon is a shield. And that's what he does. He shields. That's what he does to people. That's what he always looks out for. He looks out for the small man who he can protect, using a garbage lid or whatever it can be. And Iron Man used him during Civil War as the shield to allow him to prepare and set up for what ended up failing in Endgame. But he was still prepping the entire time. He knew what was to come.
That's interesting.
Yeah, And it's just like every bit about their, like, you know, their differences really just stems from, like, you know, what Howard, like, you know, just put out into the ether. Like, you know, I mean, it's just like when he like says, you know, sometimes I just want to punch you in your perfect teeth. Like that really hits me. Like, you know, they just, you know, they have this whole thing of Civil War, but honestly, have they ever gotten along? They were beefing since the very beginning.
No, he came in beefing. He came in. It's almost like okay, great example. It's like when Kobe crossed and hit that shot on Mike the first time and started celebrating, and Mike had to come back and whip. I mean, he wore his ass out that entire game. Why? Because Kobe had been dreaming of that moment his entire life. Michael Jordan didn't know who the fuck Kobe Bryant was. Same thing with Captain America. Captain America didn't know who Tony Stark was.
Look at the first Avengers.
Huh?
Yeah, the first Avengers. Cap comes out with the strong speech. You do this. You cover this street. You go over here. But what does Iron Man have to do? He's got to one-up him. He's got to be the one that goes into the vortex, that sends that that extra bit. He's got to be the one that risks himself. Though Cap was the leader of that scene, Iron Man, in the end, had to one-up him to make sure that he went above Captain America.
That's full circle. The full circle. You think about the first Avengers movie and then the last Avengers movie. Cap had all of his moments fighting against Thanos, and then what happened at the end? That big sacrifice.
But if you really think about that, even that big sacrifice, it's more because of what Josh was saying, and you're saying it too. But it's more that Tony knew his ego was going to be the death of him. That's why he had been seeing his demise since like the very first Avengers movie. But he also knew that Captain told him that you're not the type of person to take the hit. You're not going to lay on the line for other people. You're going to do for yourself. And Tony realized in what's called Endgame. And I think he realized that when he went out into space, and he had been knowing that that's what he was going to do. That was going to be his decision to make. He was way too egotistical to be a good father, to be a good husband, and to run the Avengers. He knew that Cap and Hawkeye would have been better leaders. He knew his wife would have been a better not only mother, but a better person to run the company. He knew all of these things, but he also knew that he would kill himself for the people he loved. Because he tried to do it in the first movie, it didn't work. So he did it in this one. He was like, I will put on the glove. That's why he hit him with the whole I am Iron Man. He's like, no, I am a superhero. I'm going to die for this shit because I would have died to begin with. But now let me lay on the line for other people. It's brilliant. I feel bad for DC.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Y'all say parents. Y'all are saying parents ain't shit, but at the same time, we're looking at these characters are becoming their parents, right?
Yeah.
What did Howard Stark say as he got capped by Bucky? He was saying, "Protect my wife. Is my wife okay? What's up with that?" He's looking out for the next one. And that's the same thing that Tony does. He looks out for his at the very end. And though that would be his demise. And you look at that through all of Marvel, besides Captain America, because we don't get to see his family. Thor follows the same path that Odin goes down. Daredevil goes down the same path as his father. And Tony Stark goes down the same path that his father goes down without quite knowing it. You know, he thinks that having a family and having a daughter is what's going to be able to bring him together and really start to support Pepper Potts. But we saw in Civil War, Potts is gone. Why? Because he's too into what he's doing. He's too into Iron Man. And we get to see those transitions, but we see at the end, he falls back as Iron Man. He falls back the same way his father falled back on S.H.I.E.L.D. To protect the greater good. And that's what they do. So we watch these parents ain't shit. Parents ain't shit because they are the exact goddamn kids that are coming up right behind them. And that's what we see through all these Marvel movies. And that connects with Hawkeye as well. They talk about some of the new series and what's going to come up. We're looking at his daughter, Kate Bishop, coming up as the new Hawkeye. She's following what Daddy does.
That's why,
path. Then they talk the same thing of Ant-Man's daughter, that she's going to turn out to be a character later on throughout. Parents are shit in Marvel. parents are the future in Marvel, unfortunately. It's a little different than DC. DC yells out Marvel or yells out Martha, while Marvel goes ahead and lets you know what's to come. And that's, to me, that's the thing. That Marvel is on top of their shit because they follow history, and history continues to repeat itself.
Right.
So no matter what, Marvel is going to be relevant. We can talk about Marvel comics from the 70s. This Civil War story started a long time ago, yet here we are talking about it. Yet here we are spending billions of dollars watching movies about it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as people, we don't learn from this shit and improve it. It's going to continue to be relevant. We can look at all of this stuff and we continue to follow our parents. I remember my dad was a Portland police officer. He worked a lot. And I remember thinking like he was gone a lot. So I'm going to make sure that I'm there for my daughter. Yeah, here I am during quarantine, during COVID. I work 40 hours a week. I'm talking to y'all on a 2-week sabbatical, but so you get to upbeat me. But at the same time, I'm still following those footsteps, and that's what we do. Yeah. And Marvel does a good job of kind of showing real life and showing that that's what people do. Now some follow different steps, right? Thor's going a slightly different route than Odin, but at the same time, he made sure shit was taken care of. He put Valkyrie in charge.
We always want to try and do a bit. I think every generation of parents does a bit better.
Just a little bit, right?
A little bit, like like your dad probably used to get hit with a switch. Then you get hit with a belt.
Right.
And now you just change the Wi-Fi. When
all right, we know where to whoop your ass. We're gonna whoop your ass in Fortnite. That's where we're gonna whoop your ass. We're never getting on Fortnite.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a Fortnite.
Still doesn't know the Wi-Fi password.
You're not getting on Fortnite for a Fortnite. That's funny, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. But I think we're gonna go ahead and switch gears here. Also, guys, if you're enjoying the show, enjoying all of this geeky commentary, and liking what we're bringing to the table, and you're wondering to yourself, man, how can I support this show more? I know that a lot of you asked that question. Well, you can. It's very easy to do that. You can become a part of our Patreon. Okay, you can go on to patreon.com/Geek'd Out. Also, you can pay as you go on Venmo. If you want to just do that one-time deal, that's fine. We don't judge here. You can do that on Venmo at BL Comedy or on the Cash App, $, Big Laugh Comedy, and all of your contributions go to the funny comedians here, and it goes to the production staff as well. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
My name's Teddy, and I've been working at State Farm for 16 years. It's a pretty good job. We get smoke breaks. Right now, they letting us work from home and shit. But a couple years ago, we started doing this thing called collateral damage insurance for the Avengers. Hey, on God, fuck the Avengers. Yeah, they save the world and shit. But half of the time, they saving the world from shit that they started. Every single one of them motherfuckers on some bullshit. How come they can't just save the world quietly and softly and shit? They don't give a fuck about nobody's property. So that Michael Bolton looking ass one with the hammer destroyed some alien shit, but also destroyed my favorite Starbucks. One time the big green one landed on my car. Asked my job if they cover it. They did, because once again, this is a good job, but they didn't replace the leather seats though. Fuck the Avengers.
Hey Carter, do you feel tired?
Who said that?
Do you want to feel more calm, creative?
Seriously, who said that? Are you contacting me from a wormhole or something?
Try Elevate.
Elevate?
Elevate can enhance your mood, protect your brain, detox your liver. It's calorie-free and it works in minutes. Your mind, body, and spirit will thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll give it a shot.
See?
Oh wow, I do feel a lot better. Hey man, if you're not doing anything, I was about to hang out and watch a movie.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Oh, yeah, I'm busy too.
Go to amahealing.co/elevate and use code BLC for 15% off all products.
All right. And we're back.
Boy, wild as hell.
Yes. I am very...
He said yes.
Guys, follow me on TikTok and for as long as that platform is still going on. Mr. Carter Anderson.
We got 30 days.
Yeah, man. We'll see what we'll see what happens with TikTok. I'm very curious. I'm pretty sure just someone's gonna buy it out, or China will finally take all of that data that they've been collecting and just take over America. I would actually be very okay with that. That'd be fine.
I would be okay if China is like, nah, we cool.
Imagine if we got to judge our vice presidential candidates by their TikToks. That would be exciting. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be fun? Right?
I would love watching Mike Pence on his phone, like
that would be hilarious.
Oh. He's like, am I on?
You've been on, Mike.
Mike, what are you doing? But no, hey, this video though, Carter, because Daniel, one of the producers of the show, was saying it behind scenes where the show magic happens that the audience doesn't know. He said it's your best video yet on the show. And I do agree with him. It's a fantastic. Not only is it a funny fucking video, I think TikTok is the right format for this, and I really want to see a show with this guy. That shit is funny as hell. Like I want to see him grow up or whatever, or like find the Prowler, or find the Michael Keaton's character from what's it called, from Spider-Man Homecoming. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he sounds like he got some problems. He needs some weapons. I want to see him get weapons.
That would be so great if just State Farm, like he just gets a couple other like sort of rogue agents at State Farm to meet up with Michael Keaton's character. Michael Keaton's character in that first Spider-Man, the newer one, it really gets slept on. He did a really good
Fantastic job.
Yeah, he was really great.
And then imagine him in the State Farm red. I mean, that's just
that would be the
wings,
best,
you know.
With the logo.
If we got, I want to see a buddy cop movie or show with Carter Anderson and Michael Keaton after he gets out of jail, after anger management, and we get this character. And Carter, I hate to be stereotypical, but we need to take it back to the 99-2000. We got to put you in a silk do-rag, because I need to see you in that silk red do-rag like a hot boy from the Back That Ass Up video. I want to see you in the do-rag with the reds on. Like, you know what? I need to hear you say, fuck the Avengers. And you got to do some, like, you know what? That's why I like, I don't know. That's why I like the X-Men or whatever the fuck. Like, you got to, whatever. Like, you need to. I want to hear about
the new Blade. Are we about to see Carter Anderson be the new Blade?
Y'all want to see that? He woke as fuck.
I would get so tired so quickly. I would just like okay, hold on. Time? Can you just give me a second? Okay. And my blood pressure, I shouldn't even be. My knees are shit, guys. And it has to be flying vampires this time. This is some bullshit. This is. Oh God! Didn't I have a car last time? It's a Prius now. It'd be a Prius. It'd be a
guns.
Prius. It would just be no. Please let Mark. If they actually are doing it with Marshall Ali, I'm 100% for that. That would be tip of the ice. It will be amazing. They will be able to do that forever and incorporate it into the Avengers somehow. Yeah. I'm very for that. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the third topic of the show, which is who is the real villain? This is very tough. I'm gonna go ahead and just give my answer now, and you guys can disagree with me if you want, and I understand that. The real villain in this movie, in Captain America: Civil War, is Captain America. He's the real villain of this whole thing. He's the one who fucked up. He's the one who kept all of the secrets from Tony and just made everything way more difficult than it had to be. In Age of Ultron, Tony Stark is the real villain. It's his fault. It was his program. He made it. He made the app, and it went rogue, and it fucked up, and it turned into a giant robot. It was all Tony's fault. But Tony has like, he's made peace with that and realized that there needs to be accountability. I mean, that's Tony Stark's whole thing once he becomes Iron Man, is that like, I made all of these like dangerous weapons that can sometimes get into the wrong hands and they cause horrible destruction. I've seen it firsthand when they got me. There needs to be accountability in this. I don't think we need to focus on weapons anymore. I think we need to do other shit. We need to shield and shit like that.
If you're focusing on that theory, then wouldn't you say that Hydra is actually the real villain of this movie? Because Hydra orchestrated everything. Hydra's the one that initially set up Bucky. Hydra's the one that started the whole gameplay. I mean, I still fall in that. I think the Baron himself, Baron von Ziemann, is the one that kind of created everything. And to me, he's the villain. But if we're looking at who started things, Hydra really got things kicked off by creating their super soldier under passcode, I guess. I mean, I guess that's the only difference between Bucky and Captain America is a passcode.
I definitely agree with you, Josh. I agree that Hydra is like sort of the thing that started it, that there is a timeline. And if they hadn't done their thing, then Captain America wouldn't have done this thing. But there are so many points where Captain America could have been like, you know what, maybe I should go ahead and just sign these accords. And, we can at least all be together. And, we can we can maybe sign an appeal or something like that. I'm sure Tony has some money for lawyers. We can get around some things, but we need to do it together. He literally says in Age of Ultron, how are we going to fight them? Together. We'll lose, but we'll do that together too. And then they fucking they split up into teams. And he lets that happen. And then you find out that he didn't tell Tony that his homeboy killed his parents. You don't think that's some useful information? That's something that he could really use? All right. He is literally going against his own nature in this whole movie. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks that he's right in all of this, but I don't know why shouldn't Bucky have to face accountability for what he's done? Maybe not kill him. Maybe save him from being killed.
And that's what upset me about the movie is that not upset me. It was actually just great fucking writing because in a way they both were the villain, because the only reason why Tony wanted the accords that happened were for his own selfish reasons. He couldn't sleep because he was part of the reason. This is yet another tragedy that in his mind falls on his head, which kind of does. So he's like, I want to make myself feel better by signing these accords. And so since I want to do it and I'm the leader, we all should do it. And Cap is like, can y'all think when Cap went down in the ice, they had just got finished fighting Hitler. So in his mind, it's like, nah, you can't give the government too much power. He's still on that shit. You know what I mean? He hasn't gone through the years of not really been in crazy wars. Like he just got out of a crazy war. So in his mind, he's like, nah, it's America first. The people we just got out this goddamn Great Depression. We was in the war. I've seen it all. I had literally books tied to my feet. Like, nah, we ain't going back to that. You know what I mean? So that was his mindset. So he was kind of right for doing that. But the only reason why he kept fighting was, like y'all said, he found out his boy was the one that fucked up. And he's like, shit, my boy did it. All right, well.
But, I mean, it's just like you're the idea that he feels that for some reason, because they're friends and that they went through World War II together, that somehow he gets a free pass from what he's done. No, he was under Hydra's control, and they should do everything they can to fix that shit, run that back, so that he's no longer under Hydra's control. That they don't take a freight car and he just starts killing people, and probably maybe take his arm, and they do all these psych evals. Maybe not just an actual prison, but there needs to be some accountability because he did fuck up. It doesn't matter if it wasn't him, because it was him. He is the Winter Soldier. I don't know. What do you think, LeRoyal?
It's interesting because the way you just explained it, it does point to Captain America as being the villain, because villains oftentimes will do stuff because they think what they're doing is right. No one can tell them anything different. And with that standpoint, it's just like, no, yeah, absolutely, he's a villain. But then it's just like, man, like, do I want to say something controversial or something that just opposes that standpoint because it's so great and it's so good? Or do I just jump on and agree? But then I think about the rest of the movie. You know, at one point, Tony mentions that when the government tried to take control of his weapons or take control of the Iron Man suit, that one, he shut down all of his weapons down because he saw how bad it was or how bad it can be in the hands of someone else. And then two, he didn't want to give up Iron Man. He didn't want to give them that resource. So he kept it to himself, which is similar to the same notion that Captain America is doing. He's saying, no, we shouldn't just give them the power because they can abuse it. But then at the end of the movie, all of that power that Iron Man has, instead of just thinking like logically, he just takes his rage out and goes after Bucky and does whatever he can do to get to him, which end up being beating up his friend at the same time. So I say at the end of the movie, initially it goes back to Iron Man, because if you think outside of that ration of like, this guy killed my parents, but more in the sense of separating Bucky between Winter Soldier, it was Winter Soldier who did the deed while under control of Hydra. And on a human standpoint, you kind of have to see that. You kind of have to see that, he was brainwashed and there's a lot of stuff wrong with him. And if there was more of a steady mind to analyze it, as Iron Man does, he analyzes everything. He should have rationalized that the blame can't fully be on him, but on Hydra. That's how I ultimately get down to it.
I actually, I see what you're saying with that. Go ahead, Josh.
Where Iron Man acts out the most irrational during the entire battle there at the end. At the end, his locking systems are defected. He's not able to use it. So he takes his mask off. He fires his final missile that brings down the lid that allows them to start the three-way fight. Very similar to the same thing that Jeff Bridges did in the first Iron Man movie. He took the mask off and he took the shot himself, allowing his ego to take place. You're telling me that we gotta be, we wanna go after Bucky, but we started the thing with Hawkeye, who gets respect, who was taken over by Loki in the very first movie of Avengers. We're talking about, we got to give this guy a pass, but Bucky's different. Maybe because he's different because he took out Stark's family or whatever else, but his is different because it was done by Hydra, not Loki. If you look at the comic books, Hulk started out in the very first Avengers. Hulk was taken over by Loki and he rages rampage. They don't get rid of Hulk at the end of the movie or at the end of the comic book. They don't say, Hulk, you really fucked up on that one, so see you later, buddy. No, he's still a part of the team. And that's the same thing with Bucky. We have to look at that, he was taking over. He was taking control with the code words, the Sputnik and all those other things that they say. But we've allowed other characters. We talked about how much we love Hawkeye. Again, Hawkeye was introduced to us as almost a bad guy, as a guy who was taken over by Loki in the first 5 minutes of the first Avengers movie.
True.
Yeah, that's fair.
True. Hey, this is what I was gonna say though. Like the thing that people kind of miss, and that's why it just goes back down to it being great writing. He didn't just find out that the Winter Soldier killed his parents. He watched the video of his mom getting her face beat in. Like, he saw it. So it's hard to be rational when it's like you watch your mother, not first of all, it's a woman, period. This shouldn't have happened, but this is an elderly, like, it was like or not elderly, but like more middle-aged. It was like a woman that could not do anything for herself. And that's when, and that sent him on. You know what I mean? It's like, what can I do? You gonna get these hands. I mean, like, if you tell me that you shooting at somebody and you hit my family member died, I don't care if you shooting at Hitler. I'm glad that you trying to get him out the game too, but you gotta get this smoke, bro. And so that's really what happened. So like that's why like a lot of people don't give him props. He went hands with them too. Yeah, he had was it Friday or at that time was it still
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday.
It was Friday at this point. Yeah, but he going hands. He going hands with both of them. Like, bow. I was like, okay. But they fucked him up, though. They sure did. They whooped his ass. And it sucks they whooped his ass because his friend, those be the worst fights in high school when you see somebody who was obviously wrong. They fighting. The wrong dude getting his ass whooped. Next thing you know, you see all his homeboys come in. And now everybody whooping the one who was in the right. And so...
I want to point out how great Marvel does in tying things in continuously to real times. Let's look at this as if that were a COVID thing, right? Like, what if the difference was between mask wearers and non-mask wearers?
That's real shit, yeah.
There's all these different things that kind of come through that you can tie in. You can relate to the story. You can look at it from a different aspect. I see that as somebody saying like, it's my freedom. No, we gotta protect each other. We gotta help the greater humanity.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Point. But also wear a fucking mask, people. If you're someone on this watching the show right now, having a good time, enjoying yourself, please donate to Patreon and Venmo. But also, if you don't wear a mask, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, keep watching. Keep watching. Get the whole.
Keep watching though.
Yeah, keep watching though, but also eat it. Let's see. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our last topic, which is who was right, Cap or Stark? We kind of dipped our toes into this a little bit in the third topic, but let's just go ahead and get into it. Before I usually give my answer first, I want to go ahead and hear y'all's first. I'm going to start with LeRoyal. Let's go with you first, bud.
So I know, as I said, that Iron Man, Tony Stark, inadvertently would be the villain, but he was right. He was right in the sense of, I get it. They have to be kept in check. They can't act with unlimited power. They can't just be their own form of government, because at that point, you're considering yourself better and higher than the laws and then the things that confine. I've never seen anything to where until Homecoming that after X, Y, and Z happens with whatever battle, that they stick around and help clean up, or Tony Stark with all of his money finally sends his robots out to do anything and make things better. So I don't know. I haven't read the Accords to know what's in full detail, but I'm pretty sure there's some way to negotiate all the stuff that's within. And then once they are technically controlled by whatever government, should they disagree, then I would rather that. Then I would rather them come together and rebel, because then that's a different story of them doing what they need to do to protect and make things right. And I think Cap would have done that part eventually, even throughout this story or throughout whatever movie came next. So I'm gonna agree with my guy Tony over here. He had better cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. And then let's go to Josh. What do you think, boss?
So I kind of tie this into a lot of real life stuff. I think the thing that Marvel does right is they write about history. And I think the things Americans do wrong is we're stupid and we continue to repeat history. And so Marvel continues to be relevant and continues to be accurate. I look at this as if I'm going to break it down into real life standpoint, I'm seeing Tony Stark as a little more of the red side, right? We want to look out ahead of time. We want to put this shield, this body of armor around the world to protect us from anything. But as we see in the future, it didn't protect us from anything. Thanos still came in. Thanos still did his thing. And I think that Cap then was kind of pushing the side of, if you let good people do the right thing, they will do the right thing. And Cap pushed that side, that good people will continue to rise up. And if we see in that would have failed in the future as well. I think they're both wrong. To me, it's together. And that's the emphasis that they put. Together, they will win. But that's where we're at now in real life as well. Look at it. Together, we can get through more shit than what we will as individuals. And I'm seeing that, and to me, I watched Civil War, and all I could see was current things going on. I'm watching, the city protesting. I'm 70 plus days where I'm at. We're watching the country torn apart. But if we realize that together we could get through this, because we got a bigger thing hanging over our head, right? For Marvel, it was Thanos. Thanos was coming in to snap. For us, it's COVID. We got a legit thing hanging over our head that can take out a lot of people. But together, they took out Thanos.
Well, as far as like what's happening currently with us, it's so much more than COVID. I mean, like the entire liberal side, the entire Democratic side is split in 8 places, and that makes absolutely no sense. Like, you know, we're fucking up in so many ways. Like, you know, easily we should be able to win every single election if it was all the black people, everyone in LGBT, everyone in this group, everyone in that group. If we all actually got together, we would fuck shit up every single time. And we just, I don't know why we don't realize that. I do. I'm literally saying it on the show right now. If you all just watch the show and pay attention.
I think that's what Captain sees, what Captain America sees. He sees, how come we can't do this and be able to do this? And Iron Man is the one where, like, yeah, in a perfect world, that would be fantastic. But I'm seeing the greater good. I've seen the future. I've seen destruction. And so I want to build this around. You know, the hard part is I just don't see either side being right. I'm seeing that together is how they get through it. And I mean, I guess.
All right.
Very agnostic approach. Trumaine. Just kidding. Trumaine, what do you think, boss?
Kind of, you know, piggybacking off of actually both LeRoyal and Josh, but I kind of go a different route with it. I think Cap was right, but this is why though. I feel like if you look at the entire story, let's say they signed the Accords. Let's say they put that shield around the world. That would not have stopped Thanos. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. What stopped Thanos? When they got together and they put hands on goddamn Thanos. That's what stopped Thanos. And that's what they were doing the entire MCU. The only reason things changed was because Tony felt bad over the last few missions because, you know, lives was lost. They be fucking shit up when lives was lost. It happened. Yeah. It's like collateral damage. And I like that they kept it real and we got to see what's happening on the ground. Because normally when you see superhero movies, they don't talk about what's happening on the ground. That's like, you know, DC, I think probably pulled it a little bit from the Batman versus Superman thing, but that's neither here nor there. But we got to see what's happening on the ground, and we got to see how it really affected things because people died during these fights because it was so much destruction. Tony only wanted to, and that's the thing, he was going to take all of this power and give it to one group. A group of humans. And what if humans shown that we know how to fuck some shit up? The only reason why the whole thing started was because what's it called? Other areas saw what was happening on Earth. It was humans who didn't know they had powers and they were doing shit. You know what I mean? And so people are like, oh, okay, they ready to fight. But what did Thor say? He's like, Thor said this war started because you all tried to harness this Tesseract. And once y'all did that, y'all told all these other places that y'all ready for smoke, that y'all got the power, that y'all ready for war. You know what I mean? And that's what humans do. Yeah. And Cap was right. Cap was like, nah, we cannot, we are a dangerous weapon to our own selves, let alone to one group. Because what the Accord said, going back to what LeRoyal was talking about, and Cap brings this up, was that this says anytime that they call us, we have to show up. And if we don't show up, we go into the raft. And that's what happened. That's why they were going. They what's it called? They locked up all those people and sent them to the raft. Because that was already happening. We were already having an ice situation. Going back to what Josh was saying, this shit is happening right now. We got and it's almost like when I was on Carter's cool. Okay, when I was on Carter's show, he was talking about the what's it called, Thanos glove, the Infinity Stones. The Infinity Stones is not COVID that's over it. It, regardless of what you feel politically, is what it is. Trump is over this. So we got because you got whatever America do, that's what the world's gonna do. So you got COVID, you got ice, you got all these other things. It's like all these different parts of the ring and snap. But anyways, Cap saw it, but he fucked up when he tried to cover up the fact that his homeboy was a piece of shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, Yeah, it is true. Both sides really did fuck up. Our producer Daniel said, yeah, they were both wrong at various aspects. It is true. They both made horrible mistakes, but a lot of Tony's mistakes were made in the previous movie, and he's kind of coming to grips with that. Especially when that woman came in on his presentation at school and was like, "You killed my son. He's dead. Who's gonna avenge my son?"
If you put the numbers together, we're talking about Sokovia, on the screen, they flash the amount of people that died before. We're talking about a couple of hundred. We're not talking about thousands. We're talking about a time now where we're talking about 200,000, 100,000 people dying from whatever else. We're talking about that these superheroes cause hundreds of deaths.
Yes.
And we need to have a legal control over them. Hundreds of deaths. That happens every single day with us right now. But again, we need to put these guys in check because 300 people died in Sokovia. That was terrible. Not belittling those 300, but...
I would say it would be the idea of them ending up under like the control of like some government, the idea of the Avengers coming in and fighting for oil terrifies me.
No, real shit. It's like the Watchmen.
Because that's what they would do at some point. That's what it would be. Okay, you're not fighting for America. You're not fighting for humanity. You're fighting for Exxon. That's not okay. It's not right. And that would eventually happen. It all comes down to money. With any government, no matter what government it is, it's all about the bottom line. The governments aren't even governments. They're just corporations. That's all it is.
As a team united, that's when they make the decision to go, all right, we're just not going to listen anymore. And then they go into your own, go underground, undercover.
Yeah, a contract, being in a contract with the government, you're still the Avengers. What the fuck they gonna do, at the end of the day? But yeah, I think this brings the show to a wonderful full circle. Guys, thank you so much for being on this thing. This is really great. I'm really glad that we finally got to talk about this movie. I don't know why it took this long. LeRoyal, great to see you. It's been too long. Once all of this shit comes down, you need to come back down to Texas, man. Get some real barbecue.
I don't know about
it's nasty out here. It's nasty, bro.
My dad's in Houston, so if anything,
even worse.
I'll go over and what's up, Austin, and then just drop down in Houston.
It's the reason why Houston I was in Houston during Hurricane Harvey. It's the reason why we almost drowned out there. We're a bowl of it's like a cesspool, but it's a bowl, and we're just disgusting. So much COVID and hose and blue lives. It's crazy. And I'm saying nothing against sex work. I believe that women have power. That women need to be heard. They are valid, but I'm I used to live in Houston. Houston nasty. And it's not just to get a shot and you good in a couple of days nasty. It's nasty out there, y'all.
Yes, well, very, very well put, Trumaine. Please respect the hose, everyone.
Respect
and Josh Larson. Josh Larson, great to see you. I'm sure, after all this shit ends up, we'll be in Portland at some time. Guys, once again, if you want to donate to the show, you can do that on Patreon. You can also do that on Pay As You Go on Venmo at BL Comedy or Big Cash App, Big $, Big Laugh Comedy, and all of the money goes towards everyone involved with the show. Guys, thank you so much. This has been Geek'd Out. I have been Carter Anderson, and we will see you next week.